Packmates, a podcast about Magic the Gathering Limited, where we take a dive into the current limited formats. Packmates are a group of friends that love drafting, hanging out, and going to FNM to get some wins. I'm Roby, the resident Dirtle expert.
I'm Andrew, the mid-range expert.
I'm Ryan, the aggro expert.
And we're the
We're the
We are the
Packmates.
Packmates.
Got him.
Perfect.
Every time.
Oh yeah.
Nailed it. So this week we're gonna start off with a FNM recap, and I guess we'll let Andrew go first for no reason. Just
no reason at all.
Yeah.
It was a good week in the old FNM mines this week. Found some gold again in the black-red sacrifice archetype, but actually I wasn't in the black-red sacrifice archetype this week. I was actually more in the mid-range, kind of draw two, get a little value, have a little sacrifice. This deck had some pretty fun key cards in it this week. I got to play with Gitaxian Puppeteer, and that is the 4/3 that when you draw a card, the second card of your turn, you get to drain 2, gain 2. And then he gets to reanimate something, which is a forgotten ability on that because the first ability is just so darn good. Won me a lot of games on the back of Jalem Tome and Key to the City. Oh my gosh, that card was such a beating with that guy.
What
A lot of my
games do?
Jalem Tome, it's for 3 mana. It's a 3 mana in the Relics, in the retro artifact spot. And it costs 3 mana. And then for 2, you can tap it, draw a card, discard a card. So it triggers that draw the second card of your turn. And then the Key to the City is in the retro artifacts. And so you tap it, discard a card, and then up to 1 creature can't be blocked this turn. So you give something unblockable. And then when you're untapping it, you get to pay. You can pay 2, draw a card, so you get your card back the next turn. And so this deck also had a really kind of fun with all that discard that I saw there. I said, you know what's good with discard? Reanimator. And you know what's good with Reanimator is a bunch of these kind of prototype creatures. They get a really, you can kind of cash them in early. Like the Goring Warplow is one of them, where it's 1 black and 1 colorless to do its prototype, and it becomes a 1/1 death touch. Or if you pay 6, you get a 5/4. And then so I had no one left behind as kind of my little reanimation target of choice there. But something I did kind of splash for, which I thought was pretty good, was the Boulder Branch Golem. That's the 5/6 that gains you life equal to its power, or you can prototype it for 1 green and 3 colorless and gain some extra life there. This guy just discarded him all the time, and no one left behind him on turn 5. And just had a big old 5/6 gaining a bunch of life there.
It's a 6/5, right?
Or 6/5. Oh, 6/5. Yes. Thank you. The 6/5. And so, yeah, this deck was just pretty smooth. A lot of card draw just to get you through and just keep putting more pressure on your opponent. And so that's kind of what I did.
All right. So, not a ton of sacks. You have Thraxo Demon to sack stuff to draw the extra card. You only had 3 draw 2 payoffs, right? Yeah, the Gargling Anointer, which is insane. That's the 1/3 flyer that whenever you draw, you put a counter on it, and then when it dies, you have to reanimate something.
Yeah.
With CMC less than its power, that card is insane, right? Like,
oh yeah,
when it's a 2/4, it just blocks everything.
Yeah.
And then
if you ever get 2 counters on it, man, that thing is going in there, and it's just getting back some of your best stuff.
Yeah. How was Power Stone Fracture for you?
Power Stone Fracture was okay. It was nice because I had the Horn Seeker, but realistically, it was getting rid of an energy refractor and just kind of killing whatever big thing got in my way that I couldn't get through with the Goring Warplow, or I couldn't get or if it was just like a really good value creature out there. Like sometimes in these retro artifacts, there's some creatures there that aren't the biggest attackers, but they're like key pieces in like them doing some bad stuff. And so you need to get them off the board, and they're not going to, risk them in combat. And so I thought it was pretty good. I sacrificed, I was willing to expend some guys just to do that.
Me, the one card that looks like the most out of place to me is the 4 mana Fling.
Oh man,
do you need it? Do you need it?
Last week you said that was the worst card in your deck.
I thought it was the worst card in my deck. This week it may have been the best card in my deck. I won a couple of games off the back of that thing, like games that I probably had no business winning.
Yeah.
it was because of the incidental Gataxian, that Puppeteer was just draining them. And so I had board states where I almost really didn't deal any damage to my opponent, maybe just a couple of points early. And then the Puppeteer was pinging them, and then I just fling the the Boulder Branch Golem at him for 6, and then we were just wrapping it up to the next game. I mean, it was something out of nowhere. I think one sequence I had it dealt 3 damage. The sorcery that deals 3 damage. Excavation. Ooh, I can't remember it right now.
Explosion.
Excavation explosion. I forgot to put that in my deck. Okay,
The Power
excavation
Stone one.
explosion. It was in there. Yeah, and so I just dealt 3 damage, and then the next turn I dealt another 8 damage with the Puppeteer and the bolt, and so it was like 11 damage out of nowhere.
Yeah, I could see it being like okay, right? Like
Mhm.
this seems more like a deck where you're casting Goring Warplows for 6 instead of 2, right? Like,
Yeah.
were you casting more for 6 in this deck? It
I
seemed
did.
almost a little bit last week like you were more of the 2-mana Goring Warplow deck.
Yeah, that guy. I like these prototype guys. They really scale to what the game needs. You know, if you can have it in your hand if it's a late game kind of thing. These prototype guys are pretty strong in that way, and it really is a skill tester about when you play a Goring Warplow or how you want to sequence things. I had a sequencing kind of thing where I had 6 mana out, and it was just better to play it as a 1/1 than it was to play it as a 6-drop, just to keep some mana open, or to just double spell into the turn. And this week you were kind of right. It was more of a 6-drop, although I did reanimate quite a bit with that. No One Left Behind. I kind of wish I had a second one of those, but the
Yeah,
sequencing
I
was
think that
just,
card's very strong. Yeah.
yeah, I think it's better than I thought. I gave it credit for. The fact that it even scales too. I played it for the cheaper cost of it too. You know, when you get something back that's a
Yep.
little bit smaller, it costs 3 less, and even then that was good. I was like, oh my
It's
goodness.
insane to get like Gurgling Anointers back, right? Like,
Yeah.
like that's so
Yeah.
good.
Yeah, you just
Yeah.
start
Like,
looping with the anointers. Oh man, yeah, it was just it was really nice. The deck was smooth. It didn't really have like the most focused, and you can kind of see it, you know, when you guys were talking about the sacrifices that I had, you know, the little, not really a lot of sacrifice payoffs, not really a lot of draw 2 payoffs. It was just a deck that kind of just congealed together, and it was just like this. I guess was it the some of the parts are better than the greater, or something like that. I don't know.
Yeah. I have a couple questions.
Sure.
Did you have enough removal, or did you just not run into anything good? Like, because you okay, so dear listener, is Disfigure -2/-2 for 1, Power
Yeah.
Stone Fracture,
Yeah.
sack a creature, kill something, or an artifact, kill something.
Yeah.
The Blast, the Fling, which he has
Yeah.
to sack a creature, kill something, or
Yeah.
he can go face.
Yeah.
And then apparently he had 3 damage sorcery.
Yeah, the excavation explosion. Sorry about that. I may have clicked that off when
That's
I did
okay.
that. Yeah.
So 4 removal spells, only 1 can hit something that's bigger than a 3/3. So you just don't need it? Like, you just didn't need it?
The guys were just so small. Disfigure was pretty good, and then when I really needed the extra, that's kind of, the blast was really good with the war plows and the boulder branch for clearing out some of the big guys. Although that just went face every time. But no, not really. You know, I think my guys had a lot of pressure on them, and then I used the moment of defiance to kind of
yeah,
pseudo
that's what I
removal
was gonna
spell.
say. Yeah, like that's like low key like pseudo
Yeah.
removal because it just
And
like destroys a race.
yeah. Oh man. That was
Yeah.
another thing too, just the incidental life gain from the trench stalker as well. Don't sleep on that guy. That guy's pretty good. Yeah, that guy I was able just to draw out the game a lot longer than I normally would, and then just chip shot with the puppeteer, just because of all the like incidental card draw that I had with the Rager, with the Scrapwork Mutt, the Jalem Tome, and the Key to the Sea. The Jalem Tome, I mean, I just kept drawing cards with that thing just every time.
I'm impressed by that card. I think it's okay. I think it's pretty good, low key. Like,
Yeah. I like that you get to
Oh,
draw the card
man.
first. Normally you get to do it the other way in red. You discard the card first, but this one,
if you're a deck that has no one left behind in it, I think the tome's okay.
Sure. And Gurgling
Yeah, that's what I
Anointers,
mean.
right?
Yeah,
Sure.
yeah.
Yeah. But just like in any deck, I don't think so.
No, not any deck, right? Like,
not any deck. I think you got to be more of like, I'm devoted to having a later game strategy, and that's kind of what these war plows and the boulder branch kind of did for me. And then of course I had Mishra just sitting back, you know, just in case the stuff really, the shit really hit the fan there, and then I could just
Yeah.
start I could start unearthing goring war plows for 3 and just start firing in for 5.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think, just to preface that, I don't think Jalen Tome goes in any deck. It's just surprising to me that there's payoffs that if you have the payoffs, you can put Jalen Tome in your deck.
Yeah.
Do you guys
Yeah.
think Power Stones is a payoff to put
No.
Jalen Tome in your deck?
No,
No.
absolutely not. No.
No.
Just specifically No One Left Behind and Gurgling Unwinner and Trench Stalker too.
I mean the Puppeteer too, right? The 4/3.
Yeah, Puppeteer.
Oh yeah, the Puppeteer was so sick.
So I'm counting your bodies, and you have 15 bodies with like 3 removal spells in this version. I'm sure this is like maybe post sideboard or something. You know what I mean? Like you probably so maybe 1 less body in like most games, I would assume, because I don't think you're sideboarding any of these non-creatures in.
No.
I guess maybe Moment of Defiance is definitely main board all the time.
Yeah, Moment of Defiance. That was easy main board. I think the one thing, it was really just that Excavation Explosion was the only thing I left out, and I cut a land, obviously. So I went 9/7.
Was 15 creatures the verge of where you need to be? Like, was it the very lowest you'd go? Like, you think 13 would have been fine? Or
I think 15 was good for the aggressive kind of slant, because when I realized this deck is kind of one of those, you chip them out early and then you finish them off with the Puppeteer or the Bolt, or just you overwhelm them on 1 turn, or with the Key to the City. Like, that was kind of my game plan, was to try to get some of that early aggression. You see all those 2-drops that I got. And then going into that late game where you get the Key, you get the Bolt, you can burn them out with the Puppeteer, or even the Excavation Explosion, just 3 to face is pretty good. Or your Mishra as your long game plan there, and just overwhelm them in 1 big turn with Mishra. And that was kind of the plan. And I think it executed pretty decently, like kind of to the way I thought it was going to play out.
All righty. Sounds good.
What
was your worst card? And why it was Thraxodemon.
My Thraxodemon, oh man, Thraxodemon just did not look good in this deck at all.
It's not good, but I think you kind of need it in this format. I hate it. I think it's like begrudgingly playable. Yeah.
Yeah,
it
was
is
definitely
Thraxodemon. Yeah.
And in this one, probably the Grixis Infiltrator was probably not the best, because I didn't really have the payouts for it. It was more just like a 2/1 for 2.
Yeah, which is worse than Thraxodemon, right?
I'm thankful that I didn't draw it very much in my games. It was like, no.
Because what is he stacking?
Strong Bull. He's got the blast at instant.
I had the Strong Bull. Yeah. The Strong Bull was fine. I didn't mind that guy.
Strong Bulls are sick, bro.
Yeah.
Again, it was just very good.
Yeah, just those late game chip shots are just so good. Just like 1 damage here, 2 damage there, and it just adds up after a while.
The Strong Bull isn't insane in this deck, right? There isn't
no, it's not
plethora of random artifacts to just sack. Yeah,
it's definitely still solid though, right?
Yeah.
Like it's
okay.
I've got a lot of targets in here. That's another thing to kind of bring up too, is like, how many targets do you really need to make it good? Like, you don't need your whole deck full of artifacts, but yeah. So I got like 6.
That's super good to do it, because sometimes you just need to draw.
Yeah, like 8 things to sack in this deck.
Yeah,
you had quite a few.
Yeah, they look sneaky because they're creatures or something else, but
yeah. And then with Mishra,
with
Mishra, you could bring him back and sack him.
That's the best card in the deck, right?
It was good. I drew it maybe 1 game, and that was about it. But it was really good in that 1 game that I drew it. But for the most part, it was just early creatures and then a late game something for that final push.
You're really. I mean, I guess you had the war plows. I'm like, you're really hard selling this early creature stuff. You have like 6.
I do nothing.
Well, no, you got like you got the war plow. You got Felden to get in there pretty quick. The Mutt. This Horn Seeker is so good. Oh my gosh, people. That card is ridiculously good.
That's the 2/2 menace that makes this power, so that card's good.
Yeah, that menace in this set's actually pretty decent, by the way.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. All right. Well, Ryan, tell me about your deck.
201. Went to time with somebody. Had some good games. It was a lot of fun. Had a Simic green-blue pile of just like uncontested green blueness. I guess it was somewhat contested because I didn't get very much power stone generation, but like you don't need it. You don't even need it.
Think so too. I'm with you on that.
So I stayed very disciplined the first or so packs of the draft, and I drafted basically colorless cards like Maze Mind Tome, Burnish
Oh,
Heart,
nice.
to try to really read the signals. Because like Roby said that he was gonna force something, and I was like, sounds like the night to stay open and just take what
Yeah,
comes to me.
absolutely.
Yeah, like it's fine to force sometimes, right? But I just don't. I wasn't gonna do it today, so I stayed open the first four and then read the signals, and the signals were such that I wheeled an Obstinate Bailoff, which is the 4/4 for 4 that gains 4 life.
Oh my!
I wheeled the Obstinate Bailoff, which is the 4/4 life or gain 4 life for 4 in green, and then I was like, "Yep, we're just doing the thing." I also wheeled 3 Wing
I gave him the
Commandos.
Bailoff. I gave
3?
him the
Wait, you wheeled all those?
Yeah, I didn't take any of them
Awesome.
early. Those are the 2/2 flying prowess for 3. And so I was like, yeah, I mean, green blue's open, so we're going in it. I think people asked me how my deck was. I said, well, if my deck's bad, then the archetype's bad. Because I just basically had uncontested green blue in an 8-person pod. So
Yeah.
I was a little bit light on removal. I did have, I had like 2 prototypes, the Boulder Branch Golem, the Iron Crawl Crusher, that's the 4/6 to the 2/5 that gives an attacking creature its power plus X plus O. And then I had the Mind Breaker that's got the mills half. I had a lot of sideboard stuff that's not showing up here. Like I had 3 Wing Commandos in the main board, but if I went against any aggro, I'd sideboard some of those out for 3/3s for 3, or like I had Take Flight in the main board, but if I went against removal, I'd sideboard it out, and Take Flight's the +1/+0 whenever it attacks, draw a card, and flying. Like any hard removal, I would just take it out and play something else. Mask of the Jade Crafter was super good. Battery Bearer was mediocre, but it was like good enough. Argothian Sprites were good, but I always felt like I wanted to use my mana to do other things than just to pump them. Like I always had stuff to do, I feel like. But then oddly, like weirdly, there's like a game or two where I just didn't have anything to do and I just had a ton of mana. So I think that was just like a variance thing.
That's where they
Maze
shine.
Mind Tome is insane.
Oh, yeah.
Very good.
That's a 2 mana. You can tap it and put a page counter on it and scry 1, or pay 2 and tap it and draw a card. And when there's 4 page counters on it, you exile and gain 4
Did
life.
you ever scry with it?
Yes. Yes,
Huh.
I did.
That's
Wow.
interesting.
That's
I needed like lands.
Okay.
I was short on lands, so I would keep like a 2-lander in a Maze Mind, right? Like,
Was the 4
Yeah.
life ever relevant? Because I'm sure you pop that thing every time.
oh
but
yeah, super relevant. 4 life is
Yeah.
super relevant.
Yeah.
I think just some incidental life gaining the set because everything's so aggressive is actually like pretty decent. You know, just a 4 life here, a 5 life there.
He's got a lot of life gain though. Like he's got the Maze Mountain, the Bailoff,
Little
and the
Bailoff
Golem.
there.
Yeah. Like I think on average I'm at least hitting one of those cards a game, so I'm gaining like about 4 to 6 life every game at least.
That's pretty good.
Which like does a pretty good job shoring up the aggro matchup and getting me back in games that I maybe shouldn't be in.
Yeah. Especially like with the kind of light removal. You don't really need it if you're gaining a bunch of life, right?
Yeah. Do you guys want to know what I fell in love with? Like
Take Flight. Is it Take Flight?
Ooh, let me
no,
guess.
it's 2 cards. It's a 2-card combo. Take Flight was very good though. It did win me some games.
Take Flight is very good. We were wrong.
I'm gonna probably
we
say
were wrong.
Zephyr Sentinel and something else.
Apologies.
No. It has to do with Wing Commando. I'll give you a hint. Wing Commando plus another card.
Wing Commando plus
That's
Giant
the prowess
Growth.
guy.
Giant Growth?
No, but I would love that. I just never
Mask of the
got it.
Jade Crafter?
No, also good. Epic Confrontation. It turns into a 4/5.
Yeah.
Oh,
that's
jeez.
good.
+1 +2 in fight. Wing Commando plus
Oh,
Epic
jeez.
Confrontation is a 4/5, which basically kills anything,
Yikes.
and then swings for 4 in the air.
Yeah, that's mega cute.
Yeah, it's
It's good, too.
disgusting. It's just
Yeah.
disgusting.
Yeah,
Like,
that's
it was
Wing
super
Commando's good.
Yeah.
Were you able to cast that Tertian Mindbreaker?
Yeah.
Did you attack with it?
I only ever drew it once. Yeah, I attacked with it twice. So I played someone and they had a Quietest Spike on turn 3. I'm gonna lay out the whole game for you. I don't know if you guys are gonna find this interesting. Basically, they equipped it on turn 4, hit me for 1 plus half, so I'm at 9.
Uh-huh.
right? Hit me again, down to like 5 or 4. Hit me again, down to like 2, right? I'm stuck on 2 lands this entire time. They're hitting me. I stabilize the game and mill them to where they have 1 card left in their deck, and
Oh
then
my
they
goodness.
finally get they finally beat me with literally 1 card left in their deck. Because of Turgid Mindbreaker, and I just gained like life with the Bailoff, the Maze Mind Tome, like
Yeah.
was able to block their stuff and kill it and tap it down. Like I had the sorcery where you tap 2 things and put 2 stun counters. So I sideboarded him because he was like kind of like quiet as Spike the deck. So it was like if I just stall, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
I just needed to stall like as long as possible.
Yeah.
But it was the craziest game of Magic I've played in a long time.
Oh my goodness.
It was a lot of fun. But the Mindbreaker almost did it, and he like equipped the Quietest Spike to block the Mindbreaker the first turn I swung with it. And if he hadn't done that, he would have lost.
I remember someone famously saying, if I attack with Mindbreaker twice, the game is over.
I almost got there after starting like being at
For
2
sure.
on turn 5. Like I don't think you understand. And
Didn't seem like it was over.
And the problem was, like, I got to 7 mana before I got to triple blue to unearth.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Like,
I
without
hate
Quietest Spike,
Mindbreaker.
I win the Mindbreaker. I win because of Mindbreaker for sure. For sure.
Man.
It was a crazy good game though.
It sounded like it. I saw you after the game and you were like, that was one of the best games I played in a while.
Yeah. Yeah, and I got him game 1 and he Quietest Spiked on 3-2. Like I don't
Jeez.
like it was just craziness.
How good
was
was
just
Battery
craziness.
Bearer in this deck? It looks a little sussy.
It drew me cards a couple times, right? Like I had 3 7
Yeah.
drops.
Yeah.
So it drew me cards a couple times. It turned my guys into stuff. Like turning my guys into mana to ramp me into the Golem or the Crusher or the Jade Crafter.
Yeah,
Which is
mask.
fine.
Were you able to break any of that off? Like, did it work in real life?
Yeah,
Okay.
it did. Like
Okay.
especially like flashback for Jade Crafter.
Ooh.
I'm deceptively body heavy. Like I
Yeah.
think I had like 6
Yeah.
or 7 non-creature spells, maybe.
Oh yeah.
And like some games was even less depending on the board decisions, right? So like
Yeah.
I had a ton of bodies. So Battery Bearer would come down on 4 and usually there'd be 2 or 3 other dudes at least to help me ramp. So on like if I had any of the 7 drops, I was just playing them the next turn and drawing.
Do you feel you're missing a little card draw in here? It looks a little card draw light.
The only thing I feel like I'm missing, actually, I had a ton of card draw, believe it or not.
The tome. The tome is
The
The
tome
tome's
is
pretty
enough by
God.
itself. I had Stern Lesson and I had Combat Courier. So
Yeah.
like my card draw, I didn't have like a ton of like I don't know how to say this, but I didn't have like a ton of cards that drew cards.
Mhm, mhm, mhm.
Right? Like
Yeah.
I only had Combat Courier, Maze Mind Tome, and Stern Lesson.
Yeah.
But all of
The
those
two-
cards draw at least 2 cards. And
Yeah,
take
they're-
flight.
Yeah. Yep.
Oh yeah, I forget Take Flight.
And
Like
then,
they're repeatable card.
Yeah,
advantage
like they're
engines,
like
yeah.
mega card advantage.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, Maze
And
Mind
then-
Tome for sure.
Also, like, and then when you go into that card advantage, like Sinkhole, like I had the Still Seeker, Stern Still Seeker. That's the one too that like lets me get lands. I had the Mask of the Jade Crafter, which is kind of like drawing a card because you like get 2 bodies for 1.
Yeah, those
Um,
unearthed cards are pretty legit.
Yeah. So I never was like really out of stuff to do. I had enough. Like the Courier is just. Can we talk about Combat Courier? It's so good.
Whew.
It's
1 mana,
pretty good.
1/1 sack,
Yeah.
draw 2, and then you can unearth it for blue and draw 2 and draw.
It's
again.
not.
Sack
It's so
draw
much
1,
scarier in like the black blue decks with like anointers, gurgling anointers, the 1/3 flyer. But it's still just good, right?
I think
Yeah.
it's fine.
It's
Yeah,
still
if you
just
have blue
fine,
mana in
yeah.
your deck,
Yeah.
that guy's pretty good. He fends
It
off.
also
some
turns on
swarmers.
your machine over matters. That's why it's important in blue. Yeah.
Which one's the machine over matter?
The 1 mana and summon if you have an artifact creature.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I have it
That
in
card's
here.
good.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
card's
Yep.
insane too.
Yeah.
That
But
card stole some games.
It's cheaper with Combat Courier, right?
Yeah.
Play? Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, it's cheaper with Combat Courier or Burnished Heart or Mask. Yeah, yeah.
Yep.
But too, even at 2, it's a fine rate. But yeah, the deck was just good. Flew over the top of most people, or we just played big stuff and beat them. Quellos Rock, the 3/3 flash, make a power stone flyer for 5. Seems solid. Won me a game I shouldn't have won. Couple wing commanders out and a desynchronized on a pacify was pretty good. This 9 damage that wasn't expected.
Did the Boulder Branch Golem ever take flight?
No. The Bailoff did though, and then just closed the game. Like
Oh
take
man.
5, take 5, take 5, don't answer or lose, and they didn't.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
They were stupid.
Flying Bailoff is pretty good. Battery Bear took flight that to win a game, so that was good.
Yeah.
Yeah, just drawing the card. Drawing the card right when you play it just is just
Yeah.
so good.
It makes it like
So-
playable, right?
Yeah.
Because it costs infinity mana, right? Like it's so expensive. But
Did you ever play it into like a board thinking like I'm gonna get blown out, or because of all the good removal sorcery that you're just like, nah, I can play this?
It's pretty easy to play around most of the removal in the format when you know what's instants and stuff.
Yep.
Like
Yeah, exactly.
it's pretty easy to, and like honestly, a lot of times so many people tap out a lot. Like a lot. Because like you have to, right? To like maintain a board in this format.
yeah,
So it's a little bit less risky. I will say like it does get worse when you just get one swing off of it and it dies. That's not ideal.
Wow.
I do think there's games where it's correct to sideboard it out when your opponent's just removing literally everything you put on the board, like take flight's bad.
Yeah. Yeah.
But in some games, when your opponent's also playing, green, blue prototypes and they don't really have any removal, and then you just like say, I'm going to sideboard in all my flyers and I'm just going to beat you before you do the stuff because your prototypes are better than mine. It's really good. Yeah, it was a lot of fun. 201. Would do it again. Green, blue's viable. I will say I was light on removal. Desynchronize is good. Don't get that twisted. That's the one that you put on top or bottom and you scry to. And it's a permanent. That's it. That's all I got.
looks solid. So I guess
Roby,
I'm up next.
Yeah, Roby, tell us about your deck. What was your
I ended
mindset?
up going 1-2.
Ah.
Yeah. Not the best result. I ended up playing Boros, but not really like normal Boros, like the good Boros deck. I kind of just forced the equipment deck. just for funsies, right? Like just to see what I could do.
To see if it was like a forcible game.
Yeah, kind of, yeah.
Yeah.
And my deck looks real weird on paper. So I've just got the worst creature base that you could probably ever have in a game of Magic. Like 1/1s, 2/1s, 1/2s. Like like a 2/3 is the top of my curve, right? And lots of 2/1s, lots of 1/1s, lots of 1/2s, lots of nonsense, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it just didn't work very well. I kept a lot of bad hands too. I'm not really an aggro player. But this isn't really like a normal aggro deck. It's more like the equipment deck of just putting your equipment on things and moving them around and spending your mana to not really affect the board state in a meaningful way, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like this is like 5 or 6 cards away
From being good.
from
It's
being
close.
like the nuts Boros.
Close.
Yeah, from being in these
It's
same
close. It's
Yeah.
close.
From being
right?
like the best possible Boros aggro deck. You know what I mean? Like
decks. Yeah.
and like it's just because you decided to do the equipment stuff, I think. But yeah, your highest power is 3 and your highest toughness is 3, which is
sus.
a little bit sus. I mean, it's fine for
It's
the Boros
okay,
aggro,
but
you have
yeah.
too many like 1X's. I feel like maybe not. I don't know.
So I kept bad hands, and I also think I needed more like card draw, like more filtering and stuff, like a
Yeah.
bubble or maybe even a star or two.
Yeah, just to cut
And
your
then-
deck down even slimmer.
Yeah, and I definitely think I probably needed more of the 2 mana Auras, the red Auras. I was
Plus
kind
2,
of
plus 2 or can't
two
block.
and
Oh,
can't
yeah.
block. Yeah, I think
Yeah.
I needed like a couple more of those because I didn't.
What about the +2 +0 first strike tramples? Would those have been just as good or no?
Oh, it would have been infinitely better. Like Audacity, the green card.
No. The
Oh.
instant red card. +2 +0 first
No.
strike trample. No.
So that's good with stats, right? Like that card is good with like
Yeah, but like your equipment gives stats, right?
sometimes, right? Like Aeronaut's Aeronaut's Wings doesn't really give stats. It's giving a keyword ability,
Yeah, that's
right?
true.
Yeah.
And like, yeah, for the most part, yeah. Yeah, maybe a whirling strike, but a lot of not a lot of them, like just specifically the survivor. I didn't have a ton of first strike. I think I need
So
more of the survivors too. I don't really like the frontliner or the sentinel, the
Yeah.
yeah,
artifact creatures. I would
Yeah.
have way rather had the survivor of Coreless. I think that would have made my deck way
I
better.
think just chaplains and all those slots would have just been way better too.
Yeah, just getting some 3 drops up to the top just to have something to curve into a little bit more, which man, but you have so much aggression
Well,
in the early
I
game.
think you want the one man first striker though.
Sure.
I
Like
think that
that's
guy's fine.
very, very,
Yeah.
very important in this deck.
If you're doing the artifact, like the equipment deck,
Yeah.
sure.
And
Or
especially if
even
you're
like
going for the
even the
Mishra's
auras.
domination.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
Mishra's domination.
That's probably good enough
mi-
to get through the first
My
4
main build
or 5
around
turns.
card is the power suit, which is the 2 mana equipment that gives your creature +1/+1 for each equipment or aura attached to it, and Ward 2. But I got to do it a couple times, but it got countered. It got scatter raid in one game.
Ooh, got
Oh.
him.
Basically, my game one, my opponent played 2 Mishra's dominations. Or not Mishra's domination, 2 of the Moment of Defiance, another MD card. Moment of Defiance, the +2/+1, and Lifelink.
Mm,
And I don't think this deck can beat like 2 resolved ones of those. It's just too backbreaking. I'm constantly racing. Like, yeah. And then game 2, I just mold into oblivion.
oh,
Yeah. I mean,
yeah.
I feel like there's some minor adjustments that could be made
Yeah.
that makes it to where it could beat
No.
some decks like
I
that.
could have
but
played it a little better. I think if I played perfectly
Mm-hmm.
100%, I could have possibly gotten 2-1, but
yeah.
Were your moles due to just not having the lands, or like because you have 16
I think
lands
I
in here?
probably had way too many mountains too.
Yeah, with those 1-drops all being white,
Yeah.
I would have skewed that like yeah. Wow, yeah. I'm looking at this deck again, and you really
But
only
like
have
not getting my mountains would have been terrible. I think
Yeah.
there's a world where I just cut red completely out of the deck and put the green in. I had green. I
Oh,
was
you had
thinking about
green.
doing that all night long.
Oh man, I
Yeah.
saw you
But
mulling
yeah,
over
I
something over
should have
there.
done it. I shouldn't have tried to just stay in red white.
I disagree, but it's okay. I don't think your green was better than your red. I like flashing back the mutts is better than anything your green could have done. I feel
I
like
probably would have
Vanguard-
tried to splash the mutts.
and the
with,
Vanguard was nuts.
Yeah.
That's the 2/3 that whenever a creature enters the battlefield, you have some +2/+0 and has first
Yeah.
strike.
Yeah.
Oh,
The Vanguard
Yeah.
has first
yeah,
strike.
the
But
Vanguard's
yeah,
really good, and he had the obliterating bolt in red. Like, yeah, this red's pretty good.
yeah, I think his red was better than his green, but
Rock Hunter All Star 3/1.
I don't know. He's just like so bad compared to the green one. I like the
Yeah.
green one way better.
Yeah, me too.
Like
I actually find
the-
that guy kind of hard to remove sometimes. I'm
He's
looking at my
green
stuff.
one
horrifying.
with the Thran power suit is basically just Bogles, right?
Yeah. Or like, yeah, or the aeronaut's wings, you give it flying. Yeah, that's disgusting. Yeah. And it's a soldier, so it equips the power blades cheaper.
Yeah.
Like, it's just good. Like, I think green white might be like where this deck wants to be.
Yeah. I
'Cause I
think I think you need a couple Thran power suits, right? I think is easy to get.
Yeah.
What
I
about
just didn't see him.
what about the flash aura that gives like +1/+0 on first strike, military discipline for 1? How was that?
It's good. It's good. It's just a combat trick, right? It's like as good as Whirling Strike, but sometimes it's better because if you have a Thran power suit, right? But it's like as
Yeah.
good, basically.
I'm gonna go ahead and say it's not just because it doesn't have trample, but it's close.
Yeah. But like it is. You also don't you scry one?
With the discipline, maybe, yeah.
Yeah, something weird like that. But yeah, Whirling Strike. Whirling Strike is better with like the bigger creatures.
Military discipline does not scry one.
It doesn't. Okay, I'm tripping.
Just gets just one plus one first strike.
Yep.
Whirling Strike is basically run amok, right? Like Whirling Strike. Whirling Strike is good with anything because there's like Whirling Strike is how you don't lose to Moment of Defiance because you don't let anything on their board stick and you just turn all your stuff sideways all the time. In my opinion,
Doesn't Military Discipline basically do kind of the exact same thing?
yeah, but then Whirling Strike like goes through and also like still pressures their life total simultaneously, right? Like if they just like a 3-1 in
I
front of
saw
you,
0 Whirling Strikes. The person right next to me was taking them all.
yeah, I mean it's
Oof.
understood.
So,
They're
like,
good, but
yeah.
like you're not going to get them all the time, and there's other ways to play Boros for sure. Boros
Yeah.
is just insane.
I don't
Like,
think
there's
this
a
is the
million ways
ideal way
do
to
it.
play Boros. I think it is a way that can work, but I
Yeah.
don't think it's the main way.
I think you'd just rather be in white green with this deck, honestly.
Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah.
But,
Yep.
all right.
Not
Well,
ideal.
what's your key? What's your most keyest takeaway from just the deck, not the play, not anything else? The
I
biggest
don't
thing.
think that this is the most Healy Vanguard deck. Like it is because it has first strike, and that's just good with equipment. But I wasn't really like utilizing it to its full potential. I wasn't abusing it for it to be like super good with like scrapwork cohorts or whatever.
Yeah. I think the 1-drops were just too sus. Like I think the
Yeah.
frontliners and the 1/2. So the 1/1s for 1 that buffs gets on +1/+1, and then the 1/2 that's pro multicolored for 1. I just don't think they were worth playing. I mean, I know they're soldiers, but you just never want to equip those guys.
Yeah,
right?
I think you just want bad bodies though. You just want like any bodies.
But like I think
early.
like run of the
'Cause,
mill
like-
3-drops would have been significantly better.
This is where like you're super ridiculously wrong.
Okay.
Because like
Jeez.
you want to curve into the equipment, right? That's how you win. Okay. I needed more Mishra's dominations for sure. But like what you're talking about isn't the equipment deck. You just want to cut literally all the equipment and then just put 3 drops. And then it's
No.
not
I'm
really
saying like
equipment
you want
deck.
equipment. You need like good things to hold your equipment. Is what I'm
Why?
saying.
Why?
Because bad things holding equipment are still bad, right? Like how many
Not
times
if
did you
not if they
ever
come out
equip
on
to Spectrum Sentinel?
one all the time. Literally the whole
What?
time. Yes. Like
For
anytime there was
why?
out. Because sometimes you just have him out.
Yeah, but
Like
like
if
he's
that's
like
your turn 1 play, if you're playing a 1-drop, then you want to curve out. You want to play 1-drop into 2-drop, like into 3-drop, hopefully like an equipment. Or what I really did was more of the 2-drop Mishra's dominations. Like that's the more you want all the 1-drops ever. But that's like the dream, right?
I'm gonna disagree, but I haven't played it, so I could be completely wrong, and that's fine.
I think like you either want Mishra's dominations or the 1-mana green thing, the audacity.
Okay, yeah.
And I think you just
Mm.
want to suit up your 1-drops and just swing them in early and just be hard to deal with.
But yeah, I don't know. That just loses like any removal at all. Like if you spend all that time suiting up like a bad dude and then you have to like redo all that, like you just lose.
It makes it easier to redo it when you have like such cheap creatures, right?
I mean, maybe, but like all of your equipments cost 2 to equip, so or
Mhm.
one or 2, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the other thing too is like recommission is good with the 1-drops, I think.
Whew, yeah.
Like especially the Survivor of Corliss. I think that's I would
Yeah, I'm
trade
with you on
all
the
of my
Survivor of Corliss.
I
Like,
would
I'm with
trade
you.
Yeah.
all of
No,
my
I think it's
all
good.
my things for the Survivor.
Yeah, I just think the Yotian Frontliner's bad, and I think the Sentinel's bad.
Yeah, I think the
Like, I
the
think
Sentinel's
the-
Yotian
pretty sus.
Frontliner is kind of okay when but he doesn't really go with the deck, right?
Yeah, all I'm just trying to say
Eh.
is like I don't know if it's worth it to play like mediocre 1-drops when you like even in this deck.
Yeah.
Like even the 1/2 guy that when you sack something gets +2/+0 menace with maybe I guess you don't have any way to sack, but like
I
feel
didn't
like
see any of them.
I feel like you need the strong bulls maybe too. Like the strong bulls in the 3 slot.
Like
would be
a
sick.
strong ball would have
Mhm.
been sick. Yeah,
Oh yeah, just to get over that hump.
Yeah.
for sure.
But
And I have zero. I have obliterating bolt. That's like my only removal.
Yeah, that was
that's
probably another
rough.
thing there I was missing.
I need a disenchants for sure. You're supposed to be able to get like the disenchants for free in this
I
deck.
think the pacifisms are pretty good where you scry to.
Yeah.
It's not ideal.
I think it's good.
It's probably better in this deck than like you don't want the riposte.
The
Even if
domination
you're
is definitely better than the pacifism in this deck, right? Because
Yeah.
like you don't care if they attack you.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like your ideal thing would just be curving into removal on 3, right? Like 1 drop, 2 drop, curve to removal,
Yeah.
and just get there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Cool.
I want to see it when you pull it off. So if you ever do, make sure you.
Yeah, keep forcing it every week. It'll eventually get good.
Yeah, I did hard force for sure.
Just go all in, everybody.
I tabled the power suit and I was like, let's go, boys. I got a bone saw. like let's tear
I
them
got
up.
a bone saw. That was the catalyst.
I got the power suit first and then a bone saw came around. I was like, okay, we're going.
Are there multiple instant, like if you had 2 power suits, does it make it 2 and 2 to award it, or do you just play
4.
Yeah,
it stacks?
it's
Yeah.
Pretty good.
Yeah,
Yeah, we're
it
fine.
doesn't
Probably
like
could have used another
stack.
power suit.
It doesn't actually stack, right? Like it's like
They
it
gain
does
another
stack,
instant of it.
but yeah, it's another instance of ward.
That's pretty
So
cool.
they have to pay it twice, right?
That'd be pretty good.
Yeah, I would think so.
I feel like 4 is definitely making it to like, okay, I can't target that creature. I feel like 2 is like, this is annoying.
2 is annoying, right?
All
Because
right,
like
we're moving
2
on
like
to
messes
our
up
17
like
land
the
segment according
disfigure.
to science.
If you'd
So,
had 2
like,
power
I did a
suits,
quick
this would've been-
breakdown, and I'm
Yeah, that
gonna
would've
give you the
been
quick and
stupid.
dirty of
Yeah.
this.
All right.
I
Yeah.
looked
Good
at
stuff.
improvement when drawn, opening hand win rate, and game played win rate. So improvement when drawn are cards that just actively make your deck better when you draw them. Okay, so when you draw this card, it improves your deck by however many percentage points I say. So gives you a 4% chance better to win, or a 3.5% chance better to win. The best improvement when draw cards are all black. There's 5 black. The top 5 commons improvement when drawn are black. Overwhelming Remorse, that's the one that exiles something and can cost less. Moment of Defiance +2/+1, draw a card, and lifelink. Trench Stalker, the 4/5 that when you draw 2, lifelink Death Touch. Gix's Caress, make a Power Stone, look at their hand, they discard, and disfigure. Black is the late game deck, so and it has the most premium cards, I feel like, but it's reliant on hitting the right cards at the right times. And if you don't hit them, you're just going to lose to the Boros decks. The Boros decks has an insane win rate, which we'll talk about in a minute. I sorted by opening hand win rate. Top 5 of those cards are all red white.
We
Goblin
talked
Blast
about that
Runner.
before because
Yeah.
Ryan was like, yeah, the top 5 improvement when
Yeah.
draw cards are all black. And I was like, bro, I bet all of the opening and win rate cards are red white.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
to me, like Roby and I disagree on how to look at the data, kind of. But
Yeah.
like to me, the end all be all statistic is improvement when drawn, because like it's just the value of that one specific card when you get it. Roby likes to look at opening hand win rates, because if you start the game with hands that are just the best opening hand win rate cards, you're just gonna win the game, right?
Yeah.
Which that's
Yeah.
valid too. So
Yeah.
like there's just different, it's just different ways to look at cards. But anyway,
Yeah, this is like the biggest divide I think I've seen between those.
Man,
Where
that
like
is
the
huge,
late game
yeah.
decks are all just improvement when drawn, and
Yeah.
all the early game decks are just aggro decks. Like
Man, that is nuts.
it's interesting to see that.
This
divide.
Yeah.
Goblin Blast Runner is just
So-
insane.
yeah. So Goblin Blast Runner is the best opening hand win rate card. That's the 1/2 that gets +2/+1 minutes if you sack something. Then you got the Scrapwork Mutt, which is just insane. That's the 2/1 that you discard and draw and has Unearth for like 1 in a red. And then Scrapwork Cohort is the 3/1 that makes a 1/1 for 4 and has Unearth. And then the Ambush Paratroopers, the 4th best opening hand win rate card. That's the 1/2 flash, and you can pump your whole board for 5. And then Excavation Explosion, which is the 3 mana to any target and make a Power Stone. But like all those cards are insane. But I do want to like note that while their opening hand win rate is between 61 and 59, Boros's win rate is just 59. So like Ambush Paratrooper is even.
Mhm.
Like it doesn't like make the Boros deck any better or worse.
Mhm.
Excavation explosion also doesn't make the deck better or worse. Like it can take it
That
or leave
checks
it.
out to me. That checks out to me.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, but the mutts, the cohorts are super good. The blast runner, I don't know how to use that yet. I wish I could give you guys more on that.
I don't understand.
I'm not versed
that
enough
either.
in it. I think you want like chromatic stars and stuff with it. And
Yeah, I
like,
think you're gonna want things that like can filter through your deck pretty quick or just incidental sack. I don't think you're really going for it, but it's just like that's a cool bonus.
and is it Terramorphic Expanse in the set, or is it the other one, Evolving Wilds?
I
don't
think it's
remember.
Evolving Wild. Oh man, it's one
Whichever
of those.
one. They do
I think
the
it's
same
Evolving
thing.
Wild. Yeah,
But like those trigger
That's
your
good.
Blast Runner too, right?
Yeah.
So
yeah.
Blast Runners are just sick on, and they're obviously good on turn one because they're a one drop. Games played win rate is basically the same. Top three: Blast
Oof.
Runner, Mutt, Cohort. Games played are just like if you have these cards in your deck at all, you don't even see them. This is your win rate, right?
Jeez,
So like if you have Goblin Blast Runner in your deck, 59.2 to win, which is absurd.
that's
For a
crazy.
Yeah.
Scrapwort
my
Mutt,
gosh.
59.1. Put it in your deck. Like just put it in
Yeah.
your deck. Like it's that simple.
Yeah.
Cohort's good. The next one is Military Discipline. That's kind of crazy. That's the card we just talked about. The +1/+0
Yeah.
first strike. Yeah.
I'm
And then
convinced it's
Chaplain.
good.
Does it
Where's
keep the
Whirling
first strike?
Strike? Where's Whirling Strike?
It's down a little ways. But
It's
still
down a
there.
little bit, but it's still there for sure.
Yeah.
I think they're comparable.
The
Yeah.
games played win rate, literally the top 12-ish cards are red white,
Jeez.
which is
wow.
absolutely absurd. So
Yeah.
basically, you need to look at the format through a lens of like, can I get into Boros? And if not, I have to be able to beat Boros. I think personally,
Yeah.
which means you have to be able to withstand the aggroness. But like other things are viable, other things are good. I did a color breakdown too. So
hmm
Azorius, let's just do the top. Sorry, I know I was going to lead in with everything, but we don't have time. So Boros is 59% win rate, which is like crazy high.
That's high.
For
That's
any
extremely high.
archetype.
Yeah.
Like in any set, any format, like ever.
Yeah.
I'm curious what AFR was with Arachnos, but I'm
It
sure
was like it was in the 60s. It was
Yeah.
in the 60s.
Oh man.
It's not AFR levels of broken.
Well, that's good.
yeah,
Like-
let's trending
don't need
towards
that
it,
again.
right?
You shouldn't be
Yeah.
hard forcing it yet.
Yeah.
We might find out that you should be, but
Yep.
yeah.
And then next up is actually Gruul, which is red green.
Wow.
57.4, followed by Is It? That's kind of crazy, but Is It has
Wow.
less games than a lot of other decks, but it's 57.3, and then Azorius 57.2. So, I mean, Boros is significantly better than those other decks, but all those other decks have either red or white in them.
Wow.
So it seems like you want to touch red or white if possible. Like, obviously, you don't have to. The other decks can be good, and they can.
What's the
win.
worst color, Ryan?
The worst color looks like it's Simic, which is what I played last night. And that checks out because I did have the uncontested Simic deck and I went 2-0-1 and not 3-0. So
Yeah.
but I think like almost any other uncontested deck, you're just gonna win, right? Like
Yeah, if the lane's open just that wide, you just get the choice. I mean, you have an embarrassment of riches there.
notably Demir's the second worst deck, which is
I
Okay.
assume that.
Yeah.
yeah.
I assume
Blue's
that.
been pretty weak recently, and black is just so late game. As you can see, I mean, Demir's kind of one of those late gamey type decks, so it really is trying to get there.
Yep, but the lesson here is Scrapwork, Mutt, and the cohort, the 3-1 that makes 1/1s are just insane. And Boros is, and because of that, Boros is insane. Like
I just kind of see this list of like all these color pairs, and I like have them ranked basically, and like how good their uncommon is, their signpost uncommon is, with the exception of Gruul, right? like the Gruul,
Uncommon's like a utility knife. It's good.
it's okay, right? But I don't think it's
Yeah.
the second best one, right?
What do you think's the second best one?
Is it?
Ooh,
Is
the Izzet
it?
one's pretty strong.
Or
I think Izzet's the best one, honestly.
I think Izzet's the best one.
yeah, it's very
It's hard to beat just extra guys.
Personally,
But I
think
do
it goes
think
like
Simic probably has the worst one, right?
yeah, sure.
I think the
think they-
Boros one's good. though.
Actually, Golgari has the best one. The spider.
Oh, the Spire's good too. Yeah,
Ooh, yeah, the guy's
it's
pretty
better
good.
than the Orzhov one. It's better than I think it's better than the Gruul one too. Even
I think it's better than the Izzet one, honestly.
Ooh,
The spider's
is
like
it?
I think it's one of the top win rate uncommons.
Is it?
personally.
Oh.
Yeah,
I think
I
it's
can
really
see that.
good. I mean, like the reason. So to me, the reason the Izzet deck has a high win rate is because it is uncontested, and you do have access to those iconoclasts that make
Mhm.
1/1s. Like,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Because
If you
if you're
don't have
ever
the
in a
iconic,
contested Izzet deck,
yeah,
then like, what are you doing?
exactly.
Is Boros playing the dwarf, the 1/3 dwarf?
Nah, I don't think so. That would be
Okay.
interesting to see. I can look real quick.
Be-
Negative
Yeah.
3 win rate when drawn.
Yeah, that's
King
what I
hand win
figured.
rate
Yeah.
is 56, so it makes the
Yeah,
deck
so it's
worse.
like bad. Yeah.
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 Yeah. So no, Boros isn't playing it.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's
Jeez.
what I got. So for
Wow.
now, either play Boros or have a plan to deal with Boros, I think.
So do you just
personally.
go into the draft kind of looking for some of these premium cards, and then you kind of figure out which lane's open there? You know, you're looking like, do you start off with a red card and just say red cards are really good?
I don't know, man. I
Yeah.
really don't. Like, I've drafted Boros once on Arena and I went 7-0. But like it's it's just there. I think what you do is if you see the mutts beyond pick 5, you just move in, honestly.
Yeah.
The
I think you
mutts and the
just slot in the
cohorts.
mutts. Yeah, I think you just slot in
Uh,
the mutts like anywhere. And like, is the goblin blast runner like truly I mean, the guy has an insane high win rate.
yeah, that's what's curious to me. I'll try to do some research and figure that out
Yeah, that's
next
nuts.
week. See what we
I
can
mean, we
do.
saw this kind of off air. We saw this list. It was on 17 Lands of Mythic list that had 2 blast runners, but like 1 payoff to get the sacrifice that we saw.
Yeah.
And it was just there. Like,
That's what makes me think that like just generic 1/2s are okay to play.
Well, I
Like,
think those were in there more so they could play the 4/4 on time too. The 3 drop
Mhm.
4/4 that
Yeah.
you have to tap 2 things. Like, I think they serve multiple purposes.
do you think that Spectrum Sentinel is that much worse than Goblin Blast Runner?
It depends.
It's super dependent, right? Like that's a weird question, right?
Yeah, like so. Yes, first off, like the statistics say yes. So let me
But
let me start with
why?
that.
Why though?
Because like you just have incidental like evolving wilds. You have chromatic
But like that's
stars. You
only
have
like once or
Mishra's
twice, right?
baubles.
Yeah.
Like it's
Yeah, but
got
that's still like
upsides.
3 damage. I don't
Yeah.
know. I mean,
It's so weird to me. I don't completely understand it.
but the upside of that happening once or twice and just like, okay, put it like this. For the 1/2 to get 6 damage in, you have to sacrifice 2 things for the red one, right? You can hit or let's say 5 damage, hit or 4 damage even. You have to swing with them once on turn 2, which you're gonna do, right? And get 1 free damage in. And then you sacrifice 1 thing and he gets another 3 damage in. Is that fair? You see what I'm saying? Like he's a
Kind of,
3/2
but
menace.
also not always.
Like
I don't think that's super reliable most of the time.
like sacking 1 thing over the course of a game.
Sacking one thing while you have your 1 drop out, while
Yeah, that's
he's
true.
able to attack into like it doesn't seem like it should work.
I would just say on
Mm.
average, the 1/2 red guy gets probably 1.5
Is
to
it
2
more
more.
important that it has that upside or that it's just a 1 drop?
I think it's
But I think
upside.
okay, so like when you're in the aggro deck, you have to play cards that push damage. Like that's the whole point of the deck, right?
Yeah.
And I think on average that the red guy just pushes more damage than the colorless one too. I think
Mhm.
he just does because maybe he doesn't activate every game, but the games he does, he gets that 3 damage in. And like if I said you're gonna play a 1-drop card that gets 4 damage in, you'd play that literally every time. Right?
Okay, but like my only thing is like if it's like the number 1, I don't think that's enough to make it like number 1. Just that
Yeah.
upside, that's my biggest qualm with that.
Yeah, I don't know why it's number 1. I'm really
Like
interested to try to figure out. And like
yeah, I think 1/2s for 1 might just be good, right?
Yeah.
I don't
Because
If
know.
there is
everybody's
upside.
doing
There is the upside to the Deal
Sentinel.
Seeker. Yeah, like he's colorless, right? Like you could
Yeah,
if
he's
you
colorless and he has pro
yeah
multicolored.
yeah,
But
which
like I don't think
means
that one
nothing. But
side
I
gets
don't
enough
think
damage
yeah.
in. Like I just don't think on average he gets as much damage in as the other guy.
yeah, but I can't understand why that would make him that much better though. Like all the way
Because
up to the number 1 common, right? Like
because
you
a
know,
1-drop that gets 2 damage in is not good enough. It's just not good enough. but a 1-drop that gets 4 damage or 6 damage in is good
Yeah,
enough.
that's pretty good.
That's what I
That's
think.
all I got. That's all
All
I
right. I know we're gonna just both disagree on this so that we can move on. But I understand what you're
Yeah.
saying.
Yeah. I think we're
That's
kind of on the same page, right?
like I'm
Yeah.
being
Don't worry
completely
about it.
transparent. I don't know enough about why the 1-2's good. Like I don't.
Yeah.
I just don't. So I'll try to figure that out and come back next week. But I don't
Yeah.
know. But the only assumption I can make is that he can push more damage.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm
that
just
makes
thinking it's the more damage. Just looking at how late game the other colors are compared to Boros. Like if you just play one of those guys and just go 1, 2, 3, and you have some incidental sack along the way, that's a lot of damage before they're even playing one spell.
Yeah. All right, Andrew. What do
Yeah.
you got for us this week?
I'm gonna put my deck on a diet this week. I call this the slim fast section. So these are cards that you put in your deck and they just kind of replace themselves. So they're almost like -1 card in your deck. You know, they kind of cantrip and replace themselves. So some of the bigger hits right now, and we get these a lot in this Relics set. And so this is kind of unique to this set that we see so many of these cards in this kind of volume, like a Mishra's Bauble, where it costs 0 and sacrifice, look at the top card of your opponent's deck, and you get to draw a card. So it's basically like playing a 39 card deck. Or you can play like a Chromatic Star, which, it costs 1 colorless, and then you pay 1 into it. You can get mana of any color and then draw a card. And so these are cards that just kind of draw you kind of deeper into your deck. It draws you your good stuff without having to, play kind of some just random chaff or whatever in there. In this set, I feel like it's really important to have these kind of cards. I think the card density is so good right now with all these just really strong. The stronger cards are a little fewer and far between in some of these cards. And so I think just being able to draw them more often is going to be where you're going to want to be. Like I've been playing Energy Refractor every week, and it wasn't even to splash at one, maybe like a one-off splash, but it really wasn't the crux. It was just to have 1 less card in my deck. Or playing Mishra's Bauble last week, I played 2 of them with the refractors, and I was playing like a 37 card deck. And then the Scrapwork Mutts, I mean, that guy's just really good. But then you have the Rager as well, just to kind of get a little bit more filtering. And I've seen decks just not have the black mana to bring him back, and just a good guy.
So what I'm seeing as a commonality between these cards is
Mhm.
if they cost 2 or less mana and they say draw a card,
Yeah.
and they can stick on the board like artifacts and stuff, they're all artifacts basically. They actually are all artifacts. But 2 or less mana and they say draw a card, they're probably worth putting in your deck just to make your deck slightly smaller.
Yeah, absolutely. I think in
Over
the colorless,
chaff, right?
yeah, over your chaff. And I think you brought up a good point too. I forgot to mention that is the colorless portion of this. I mean, they go into every deck.
everything,
Yeah, they go into every deck. Although something to note on our good friend Goblin Rune Blaster is look at the amount of sacrifice.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say. It was like
Oh
looking
my
at this
goodness.
segment makes me think, okay, maybe this is why Goblin Rune Blaster.
Yeah, right?
Oh my gosh.
You get it now. You get it.
Yeah, I think that mutt though. I mean, that mutt just may go into every deck. I might be a believer in that now. I think he just goes in there. He's so good at smoothing out these draws. But when you have cards like this in your deck, something else to add is you can actually kind of fudge on your lands a little bit, guys. You don't have to maybe go to 17. You can go to 16. And I think if you have enough of the baubles and chromatic stars
15.
and things like that, you can go down to 15,
14.
guys.
Well, the cool thing
13.
about all these cards too is chill.
12.
They all do something else. They don't just
Yeah.
draw you a card. They all like still serve a purpose that's needed in almost every deck in the format. Like it's okay to play like unearthed cards that are off color, and Energy Refractor, Chromatic Star, Elsewhere Flask all help you splash those.
I think Bauble kind of does nothing, right?
Yeah, Bauble kind of does nothing, but it costs 0. So
but
Bauble.
You're actually just 39 cards in your deck at that point, right?
Yeah.
How many baubles do you need to go to 12 lands?
Oh, so many.
Oh, geez.
Like 6?
Sure. No, like 8.
I'd say 5. Ooh,
8?
really?
Oh,
I went lower. I went 5.
Yeah, I'm with you, Andrew.
Yeah.
I think like 5. I think you could go like 12 lands. Nobody ever would be brave enough to do that. But
no,
you're never gonna get that many baubles.
No, we'll never see that. But
yeah.
But yeah, I agree. I think this set you're gonna sometimes look at your. Well, this has happened to me, and I could just be super aggressively wrong, as Roby would tell me.
You may be aggressively correct. I don't know.
But like sometimes I like look at my deck after like a 3 or 2 win premier draft. I'm like, this deck seems good, but it just wasn't consistent enough. It just
Yeah.
wasn't there. And I think this is what makes or breaks the format. Is just you just want these cards, and how early are you willing to take them? That's a good
Yeah.
question because I don't know the answer to that because I'm not
I
taking
don't
them early
know.
enough because I'm not getting them.
No. Yeah, I don't know if you take them too early because you really got to got to make sure you got a solid deck, and then you start trimming out. And this is where cutting cards is going to be really tough too because you see all the gears and things to make your deck really go, and you're like, well, I can't cut this card for this one card that does nothing. Like this other card does something, but it's really like, yeah, maybe you could cut that card to make your deck more efficient.
Yeah.
By taking out something that may be a little bit more powerful. It's going to be tough to like cut a creature for a Mishra's Bauble or something. It's like this guy can win me the game. The Bauble does nothing, and it's like no, but it's drawing you closer to your game plan, and you're able to more consistently execute your game plan.
Like I'm almost on the extremity where I feel like I'm gonna start third picking these cards, fourth picking them.
I'd pick the Mutt every time. I'll tell you that right now.
They're
That
going
Mutt's
in
not getting
every
past me.
single deck. They all go in every single deck,
Yeah.
no matter what you end up in.
Yeah.
You're putting them in.
Yeah. The scrapwork worker is a little bit on the sussy side on this, but I still love him.
The Rager, yeah.
Yeah, the Rager. He's a little bit too big for this list, but I think the Mutt
Yeah.
and these other guys are just the refractors. The Ichor Wellspring's probably most sus out of these because it doesn't really do anything else other than just sit there and draw your card. But man,
Yeah, but if you have any way to sack it,
Oof.
like
It's
you
so
can-
good.
Yeah,
ooh, yes.
yeah. Two cards for one is just insane.
Yeah, that is
Yeah.
just
Two
that
cards
is
for
good.
two. I mean, sorry, 2 cards for 2 mana is insane.
It's good.
Like if you have the Strong Bull, if you have the Thraxodemon, and you get 2 cards off of it, if you have, there's so much stuff you could have.
Maybe it's all that time I play Popper that skewed me on these cards. It's just like, oh man, yeah, these guys are great cards. But yeah, these guys, yeah, they're really good. And just if you feel like you have good cards and you want to play them more often, put these cards in your deck and you're going to see them more often.
All right.
Agree.
Sounds good. I'm excited to try this.
Yeah, I need to do that more.
Yeah.
Same.
All right, don't beat me with this technique, guys.
All right, next up, I want to have a touchy-feely conversation about equipment. No stats, just feelings. I've just got 4 pieces of equipment that I kind of think are like kind of important in the format. Not super important, but like I think they're cards you could add, you could play with. They go in certain archetypes, and I just kind of wanted to talk about each one. The first one we have up is Veteran's Power Blade, which is the 3 mana. One that gives a soldier +2/+0 for 1 white mana or any creature for 2 mana. What do we all think about this? We ran the numbers on this one. This one's super touchy-feely.
I'm not a huge fan of it in most decks.
I don't think it goes in most decks for sure.
Yeah, like
I
a
agree.
Boros pile. I don't know if I like it.
I kind of like it more in my Azorius piles, but even
that's
that's
where I'm at with it.
We ran the stats on it though.
Uh-huh.
And what was so crazy was green white. It's like the best common in green white, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's insane. I don't completely understand why. I think I have an idea why. I think keywords. I think Veterans Power Blade goes better in the decks with keywords because it's just giving stats, and stats are better on creatures with keywords.
You want to hear my take on it? If you don't mind.
Well, let me
let me
finish
know
this
if
real
I'm okay.
I think green and white have the best keywords. Trample and flying. And that's and I think they have the mana to just move it around.
Yeah.
Yep.
I think that in conjunction with artifacts ETBing matters.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is what really pushes it over the edge.
That could be it too.
Yeah. I mean, it definitely goes well with the keywords. Like I don't disagree with that at all. But I think if you really want the keywords, I think the flying keyword is like the best of them, and I think white blue would make this shine more. But since the white green ETB, like you have the 2/2 vigilance that whenever some ETBs it gets +1/+0. You have the 3/3 that whenever an artifact ETBs gets +1/+0. You have the uncommon that puts
I don't think that those cards are very good though.
the
The
vigilance guy is fine.
Vigilance guy's all right.
the vigilance, yeah, that guy's okay. I don't think the best version of that deck plays the 3-drop guy though.
That's fair. Yeah.
Like the uncommon's insane though.
The uncommon's insane. Yeah,
yeah.
for sure. But
Yep.
yeah, that's my thoughts on why it's better in that deck. It's just because
It has like a negative improvement when drawn in every deck but green white,
Yeah.
which is crazy. I think there's uses for it though. I think like keep an eye out for it. If you see it, it's free to pick up, and you have a reason to play it. Or if you're in green white, like just keep an eye out. It could improve your win rates. The next one we have, this one's like mega contentious. Thran Power Suit, the 2-mana equipment that gets +1/+1 for each aura or equipment attached to it, and it has Ward 2, and it equips for 2. I think this is just an archetype. Like you're never playing it unless you're the Thran Power Suit deck. But I think that deck can be real. I think it can be a real thing, but I'm
that's
not.
what you were going for this week.
That's what I was going
That's
for.
what you're going for. Yeah.
I don't know. I obviously didn't get there, but
I think if I'm going for that deck, I'm just only running power suits. I don't want any other equipment but power suits. Like I just need multiple.
That's not good, right?
Yeah, that's not as good.
Well, I mean, even if it's 2/2 for Ward 4 is pretty good too. I mean, you just equip it, and you get +4/+4 for each. Yeah, for each aura.
That's magical.
That's bad.
Christmas land,
That's
getting
bad.
I don't know if
2
it's
Thran
really
Power
like. I
Suit.
mean, you're just looking. I mean, even if you get 2, I mean, it's uncommon. Like you're going through that many packs. If you get 2 of them, that's pretty good. Just unto themselves, I think. Just having 2, not even devoting a deck to it.
Equipment? That seems sketch.
Yeah, I don't know.
And Ward
I
2 is
don't
pretty
know
decent,
about
and +1/+1.
Maybe if you had some of the auras, like the first strike auras or the red
The
ones.
auras are. I think like the power suit deck kind of wants the auras for sure.
Yeah.
Like
more than any other deck.
specifically the first strike one and
+2/+2 can't block.
Yeah.
Or also Audacity. Yeah. It gets real stupid with Audacity because it gives it a keyword, right? Trample.
Trample, and with the power suits +4/+2, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's so
Yeah,
good,
that's
right?
good.
Like, yeah, I think there's a deck for it, but I don't think you want it outside of it. But maybe you do. Maybe you do. Andrew could be right about that.
I don't know. I mean, I think
it's
I'm
just giving
towards
stats,
Yeah.
and you have to work for those stats, right?
Yeah.
So I'm assuming it's better with the decks with creatures with keywords, right?
Yeah.
Like flying.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
What if we could just use equipments to give our creatures keywords?
That's what we're up to next. Next up, we have Aeronaut's Wings, the 2-mana equipment that equips for 2 and gives the creature +1/+0 and flying. So my wisdom tells me that this is good with just dumb creatures, like dumb big creatures. Like specifically, I think this is horrifying with the 3/1, the common 3/1 green creature with Ward 2.
Yeah, 4/1 flyers are pretty
4/1
scary.
fly.
Yeah, that's horrifying. Yeah. I don't know how good it is yet, but I think it's like fair to consider this card in this format because like it kind of ends up stalling out a little bit sometimes, and just getting someone in the air might be pretty good.
I will say, speaking of feelings and not facts, it
Mhm.
feels like there's a lot of 3/1s in this format.
Yeah, which is sick
Now-
with the
I'm not sure how that compares to actual statistics.
yeah, but it feels like
there's
because
a lot.
they
Feels
kill me
like
all
it.
the time. Feels like a lot of them for sure. Like they're scary, right? Like all the 3/1s are scary in this format.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What
when you're
about this?
looking at
I have a
what
weird
4s in
question
your
for
hand.
you.
Yeah,
The equipment deck. Do you play the 4/2 for 3 that mills
No.
4 cards when it dies?
you might though. I don't know.
Yeah, that's what I'm
I don't know.
saying.
You
Like,
might. Like how sick is
Snap
that with
judgment, no.
Aeronauts?
Like that's the easiest no.
Yeah,
then
but Aeronauts Wings, just looking at it.
yeah. Then you take a step back and you think, wait, but maybe though.
That's
Like a
4 turns.
5/2 flyer?
That's 4 turns.
That's a 4-turn clock. Like that's
Yeah.
Yeah, that's real.
maybe. I don't know.
Because those are free.
It
You can pick
seems
those
pretty
up.
good to me.
You can pick those
Yeah.
up bottom 4 cards of a pack. Those are free.
Yeah. Yeah, just keep your eye out. Keep your eye out. Maybe it's good. Maybe it's good. And the next one we have another one that gives a keyword ability. Dredging Claw, the 2-mana one that gives +1/+0 and menace. And whenever a creature enters the battlefield from your graveyard, specifically unearthed creatures enter the battlefield from your graveyard, you're equipping them for free. And it costs 1 and a black to equip. So it has like the most prohibitive cost to equip it for sure. But
Yeah.
I still think giving something menace is good, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, especially we've got that big old 5/4 common Death Toucher. Like, that just seems so good. But
Yeah.
I'm not sure completely. I have the least experience with Dredging Claw out of all of these.
I feel like if the unearthed stuff was more open, right?
Yeah.
And
I think
not quite
eventually
as
it will be.
contested. I think Dredging Claw would be insane. Like I think that deck would be insane where you're just unearthing 2/1s and giving them +1/+0 and menace, or 3/1s and giving, you know what I mean? Like it's
Yeah.
just nuts. Or 2/1
Yeah.
flyers or whatever. Like it's just a real thing that they're gonna eventually have to trade with your unearthed dudes, which is just so much value.
Ugh.
Stupid.
Yikes. Oh man.
And it would be interesting if you ever have a pod where you just can pick up a ton of unearthed guys and get Dredging Claw. Like I think it would be insane. Even if you end up in 3 or 4 colors, I still think it would be insane.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
I think it would be really interesting.
3
I'd
color.
love to see it, but
Is
I
it good?
Like a
I don't think it's
Mardu.
feasible right now because just the unearthed guys are so good.
Like a Mardu.
So what if you just
Yeah.
run the
Dredge.
bad ones? Like the
Hey.
Yoshin soldiers.
Yeah, the Ocean Soldiers and the guys that gain 4 life, like the 4/4s, right? That gain some life, 3 life for 5.
Yeah,
And
like
yeah,
the
I mean,
5/3, the
No.
Juggernauts.
yeah, the Juggernauts, like maybe, yeah.
Can
And
you
Andrew
run
was
it?
saying it's a Mardu pile, like maybe.
Could
I
you
feel like
run
the
it
Mardu
in a
pile's pretty
deck
nice.
with 0 swamps? Maybe.
Oh.
Maybe. It might be a thing. It might be a thing.
If you're on the Slim Fast diet, maybe.
Yeah.
So
got
you
the
know what else
stars and
might
the
do it?
refractors and
Okay,
all
I
that.
changed my mind.
Okay.
What if you just get a shit ton of recommissions? Isn't this just
Ooh.
insane with recommission?
That's
I don't know
maybe
if it's
cute.
enough.
Like if you have like 3 or 4
You give them a turn to deal
recommissions?
with it, though.
Yeah, I don't like it as much there.
But
But I think
like,
it's fun. It'll be cute. In addition to all the other stuff that you're doing, yeah.
because we've all just learned that recommission is just a good card, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We all agree on that, yeah.
Yeah, of course.
And this goes insane with recommission.
I don't think it's as good as it is with Unearth because they have a whole turn cycle to deal with it. They get to untap. Like
Yeah, but still,
yeah,
it's
I mean,
on there forever.
I don't
but
think
you
it's
want
insane, but I think it's
you
just
want
good.
swamps with recommissions, but
Like, let's say you get a flyer. You don't really need a flyer, right? Like you in this deck, you just want like because you don't need 2 keywords, right? What's the best creature to put this on? The 3/1? The 3/1, like what are we putting Dredging Claws on? What are we recommissioning to put Dredging Claws on it?
are we gonna limit it to comments? Let's limit it
Comments,
to
yeah. What comments?
What
What
common?
is it? The
What-
3/1 red guy, the with reach?
No.
Oof.
Why not?
I mean,
Like a 5/2 menace? Like a 5/2
about-
menace is gross.
yeah, that is
Like
pretty
that's
gross.
pretty scary to deal with. Like you're double trading.
Like it could be the great, like the ward one would be slightly better, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
the
still
ward
know
guy.
about green in that deck.
What about? Oh gosh, I don't know. What about just like a random 3/3?
Yeah. And then you turn it into a 4/4 with the recommission.
Yeah, and then it'd be a
And then-
5/4 menace.
Yeah, that's pretty stupid.
Pretty good.
Yeah, I think there could be a thing. There could be a thing. We're gonna have to hit the lab on this one.
Yeah.
We'll get back.
Oh,
to it.
Warlord's Elite, the 4/4. That's
Ugh.
the card.
Yeah, that's how you do it.
That's
right?
the one.
And then it turns into a
6/5 menace.
Yeah.
Recommissioning that guy. Oh my
Yeah,
gosh! Just the
that's the
recommission
one.
alone. I don't need a dredging claw. I just need to recommission that guy. But the
Well,
dredging
with
claw is going to be
dredging
some
claws,
icing on the top.
Yeah.
I think with the recommission, it just the dredging claw just like becomes that little
Warlords Elite.
cherry.
You're right, Ryan.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah, that's the
absolutely.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think it's
Am
an
I
Yeah.
addition to the
aggressively
plan.
right
Not the
though?
plan.
Mega aggressively
I
correct
I
next
think you're
time?
I think you're aggressively moderately right.
Okay.
Yeah, but I like it. I like it. It seems good to me. Yep.
Yeah.
But yeah, just keep your eye out for equipments. They aren't as bad as they normally are. Normally equipment feels kind of bad, but
Hear me
like
out on
sometimes
this one. What about the one for lifelinker?
yeah, I always consider it.
You
With
always do. I
I always
always
recommission
see it.
got
dredging
it.
claw.
I always see it in your pile, Roby. You're like, is this good? Yeah.
I need to
This
run
gotta
it.
be-
I need to run it. I've been a coward. I've been sleeping on my boy.
Oh my
But like
god.
realistically though, is lifelink a good enough keyword for the equipment deck to make the deck? I
Oh
think
yeah.
it is.
Oh yeah, yeah.
I think it is too, and I think I was wrong for not playing it last week or the last draft.
Yeah, I
I
think
think I needed it. I
I think the
probably could have
lifelink
played.
keyword's being slept on right now because that's one of the few
Yeah.
ways you're able to deal with Boros and that early aggression.
Yeah.
Yep. Yep.
Yup.
That's what I got for equipment. Keep your eyes out. Keep your eyes out. Try them out. Let us know in the comments if you're there. Insane. But yep. So we've got our worst segment of the week.
Oh man.
My least favorite segment of the show. We've got our quote unquote alpha of the week.
The
Go for it,
undisputed, reigning, defending FNM champion this week, 2 weeks in a row. It's me, Andrew, your mid-range expert, master of the Rakdos sacrifice, master of the Rakdos mid-range. Yeah, this was a pretty solid week. It was a little tough. You know, the draft pod looked a little good. A lot of people forcing some things, so hopefully I faded them. But yeah, I navigated the waters greatly, and the Gataxian Puppeteer just really just sealed the deal this week. This guy was insane.
I'm
Make
pretty
sure to
sure
be
I
on the
passed
watch.
that.
I'm pretty
Did
sure
I-
I picked it up and won with it.
Did you get it on like a pick 3
Yeah,
or something crazy like that? Yeah, that was
Yeah.
me. My bad.
it was one of those things where you look at it and you're like, "This can't be real," and then you're like, "No, it's true. It's damn true." And you take it, and you just know you're about to win a draft.
Yeah, that card's good.
I'm loving the wrestling references.
I'm all for it this week. Got to come in here, Rolex wearing. No, I'm just kidding. but no, this was a pretty fun week. I had a good time this week. I thought this one, it didn't look like this was the Slim Flask like kind of deck, you know, where it's like, okay, I just got a bunch of incidental draw stuff to just draw the good pieces of my deck. It didn't look like the best deck on paper, but boy, when it just started running and you just get more efficient, it just started steamrolling people. But the Gataxian Puppeteer was on the back of that guy every time.
Yeah, I think my deck had what it took to make it to 3-0, but it just didn't work out that way with the draw.
Yeah, that draw, man. Yeah, you probably should have.
It would have been
had
fun
more.
to play you in the finals, that's for sure.
It would have. You know, had you not
next
drawn
week-
that match.
Next week, I'm coming for you.
Coming for you
for me?
guys. Quick drafts out. I'm about to get good. That's how it goes. That's how it goes.
Oh, you need
Roby's gonna come back so swole at the end of this week. He's like,
yeah.
50 quick drafts in, guys. I'm ready to rock and roll.
I run a lot of quick drafts.
You
I just
do.
don't have the patience to do a premium draft. It takes like 30 minutes to draft.
Yeah, it does take.
I like to do it in like 2 minutes flat.
Like
Yeah.
Roby watches me draft, or like
And
I watch
it gives
Roby
me a
draft,
stroke.
and like he hates how slow I go. I know he does.
Yeah.
It
But, like,
takes so long.
It gives you
do.
time to evaluate though, like and really think
Yeah.
about your deck. I kind of like that.
I don't use any of those dumb apps that like track the stuff either.
I don't
Oh
either.
my gosh, I don't either.
I just know what I want.
Well, you just
I
feel
gotta
it,
just
right?
Take it.
I like to be
I-
mindful.
Yeah,
of
I
what
just
I'm
feel it. Yeah.
passing, though.
It's all about the feelings. I don't care. Like I'm just going.
We got to get some merch that's just like draft
I
by
sna-
feeling.
I
Yeah.
I snap pick for sure. Like I'm the snap pick guy who
Oof.
ignores everything in the pack, takes the card, and just sends it.
Yeah.
For sure.
Like, yep, that's
Oh,
the
man.
one.
That's it.
I think there's more value to doing that in person. I think it intimidates people
Oh.
I
a little
don't
bit.
know. Maybe
When you're
so.
like snap picking, sending, and there's like 5 piles at the person next to you.
All right. Catch y'all boys on the flippity flop.
See
Bye.
y'all next week.
Yeehaw.